Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today's project is a Steve Good design. They are free over at scrollsawworkshop.blogspot.com. What I really love about Steve's patterns is he gives you a visual of the finished product with a finishing option. He shows you how they're put together in an easy, just looking at it format. Then you receive all the different patterns for that particular project, along with notations on the thickness of the wood or other notes that are relevant to a specific project. And it makes these patterns so user-friendly, whether you're a novice or a seasoned scroll sawer. So let's start cutting and talking about blades. Right now I'm using a Flying Dutchman Alto Reverse number 5 blade. I was pretty excited waiting for these to come in so that I could use them on this particular project. Of all the blades I've used up until this point, this blade was really nice. It still is really nice. There's a learning curve with it because it feels so different from the other ones. When I got to this part of the tree, I had to go back to my spiral blade. The turning and the manipulation you have to do with a flat blade, I'm not adept at doing that just yet. I'm very comfortable using a spiral blade for this purpose, and it went quite smoothly for me. Now, all blades aren't created equal. I am no expert, but what I'm starting to understand is you have to get a feel for what the blade is capable of. In other words, you can buy the most recent top-of-the-line car, and if you don't know how to drive the car, it's going to do you no good to own it. And I'm starting to realize that with these blades. While in my mind I think the blade is the answer, realistically my experience and my practicing with blades and the scroll saw itself are what makes the difference. Now, I went back and forth in this project between the spiral and the Alto Reverse. For my capabilities, I don't do well on straight lines with the spiral. I'm getting better, and as you can see here, I flip back to the Alto Reverse to do this moon cutout, and the same with the cutout on here. I can do straight lines really nicely with this blade. So the Alto Reverse is like a 5-star in my book. Much better than any blade I've used so far in the last 12 weeks of using a scroll saw. Having said that, I tried to use it for this part. I wanted to get cleaner nails on the paws there, and that did pretty good, but I still was struggling with this Alto Reverse. It wasn't the blade's fault, it was kind of my fault, my lack of experience on how to use it. By the time I got to the pads, I had had enough. I'm not able to spin that board around as easily as I would like to get the turns correctly. It can be done, but I ended up going back to the spiral blade. As you can see, the spiral blade will move in any direction. You don't have to spin the board around, and a lot of times when I do spin the board around, it's just so I can see where I'm cutting. Doesn't mean the blade can't do what it needs to do. It's me that can't see what it needs to do. But yeah, the spiral blade, a lot of experienced scroll sawers have a difficult time with the spiral blade, or now I shouldn't say it that way, but they prefer not to use it. But they learned with the flat blades. They've been doing it for years with the flat blades, and I can understand why a spiral blade would be difficult for them. But because I had little or no experience with any part of this, it was easy for me to adapt to a spiral blade. I think the only disadvantage for me is I cannot do straight lines for any length more than 2 or 3 inches. I really mess things up, and you'll see that later in the video where I messed up. It's always fixable, but I should have taken the blade out. I should have switched back over, and I didn't, and you'll see where my straight line wasn't so straight. This section here wasn't so bad, but there you go. I was all over the place. I think it's funny. But I was able to correct it with some sanding and some filing. But again, I don't want to be doing all that. So I got through this, and what I did was I stapled the top two pieces together so that I could sand both of them at the same time and even them out, so when I put the project together at the end, you wouldn't notice any of the flaws that were created by cutting everything separately, nor were you going to see all my wavy lines because I smoothed those out. But yeah, this is the stuff I don't want to have to do, or I want to do it minimally. We shouldn't have to spend a lot of time on this, but because I'm new, I do, and I don't want a project to look horrible. I want it to look halfway decent. Now I put the Ultra reverse back in and stacked all three pieces together to cut the outside edge. I wanted every single one of these to be lined up perfect with minimal aftercare. The only thing I had to do when I got through with this was just a little light sanding, and that was it. It was great. I wish that would work for all my cuts, but anyway, I'm learning. It was a little bit challenging holding it all together with the three pieces because the only part that were connected was outside of the cut line. So as I was cutting it, it was getting a little bit loose, but it worked out well. And you can see on this, the straight lines with the Ultra reverse, it was just so nice. That thing went through very smoothly. I had very little effort on my part to keep it going straight. Up until this point, I've only was really using super cheap blades other than the spiral that I bought from Flying Dutchman. And when I got the Flying Dutchman spiral blades, I couldn't judge whether that made a difference or not because they're very different from the flat blades. So getting the Ultra reverse definitely showed me the difference between cheap and spending a little extra money for a better quality blade. It does make a difference, and I'm excited to practice more with those blades and get more proficient with them. Feel free to leave a comment, and as always, thank you so much for watching. God bless.